Great.
Hello, in this video we're going to show you how to fit a rear bicycle wheel into bike frame with the Nexus hub fitted. This one is the Nexus 7, but it's the same procedure for the Nexus 8 as well. The important part before you put the wheel into the bike frame is to make sure that you have the axle nut, the washer and the chain tensioner fitted on your bicycle in the correct position. The washer are left-right specific, and if you look on the side of the washer there is either an L or an R stamped on it indicating left or right. And at the top of the washer you have this lug here which should line up with the slot in your chain tensioner when it's in the correct position. So you back off your axle nuts as far as you can without actually taking them off the wheel, and we're going to start fitting it into the bike frame. First of all, you take hold of your drive chain, wrap it around your sprocket, ensuring that it hasn't fallen off your chainring at the front and is fitted correctly. And on your gear cassette here, you want to make sure that your gear arm is pointing forward. If you take hold of the wheel with both hands and slot it up into the bike frame, you might need to pull the stays apart very slightly just to slot it in. So it's in on both sides, and with your other hand make sure that you hold the wheel tight so that you've got some chain tension just as you lift the chain tensioners up into position. Now you can turn that chain tensioner by hand, you don't need the spanner at this time, and rotate your gear cassette just so the washer here slots into the holes on the chain tensioner, and tighten your axle nut up by hand just so it goes tight, and then back it off very slightly just so you know everything's lined up, and do exactly the same on the left side, and then just have the wheel, hold the wheel central with the hand that you're holding the wheel with, hold it central and tighten your chain tensioners just so the wheel's level on both sides, and tighten the axle nuts by hand. Now that you've got the wheel in its provisional position, so you've got hand tight on your axle nuts, very slight pressure on your chain tension just to bring the chain back just so there's a bit of slack there. The next thing you need to do is reconnect on the left side of the bike your roller brake arm. So undo your 10mm bolt which you've left in position, so hopefully it's not lost, and put your bolt through. And you're only doing this hand tight because you need to allow this to slide up and down the stay when you do your final chain tension. Now you've got your bike wheel in position with your chain tension provisionally taken up by hand and your axle nuts taken up by hand, we now need to set your chain tension correctly. Now with your axle nuts hand tight and just backed off very, very slightly, you use your chain tensioners here, and as you tighten one up you'll be pulling the right side of the wheel back, and if you tighten the left side up you're bringing the left side of the wheel back. The important thing is to make sure down here at the bicycle frame the gap between your tyre and the frame there is the same both sides, and the easiest way is to actually look directly from the back of the bike and do it by eye, or alternatively you can put your thumb on the frame and measure the distance. So using your 8mm spanner you can adjust your chain tensions up here, and the same on this side, and checking your gap, the wheel's central, and you're looking for your chain tension here. And what you're looking for is when you turn your chain wheel around, if you keep pressing your finger up on the chain you'll feel that a certain part of it is tight, and it's that point you want to measure, and what you're looking for is roughly about ½ an inch play, and if you go round to the slack side you'll see it significantly more, and what you don't want to do is measure that to ½ an inch, because then when you go round to the tight side your chain will be too tight. So it's important to keep feeling the chain until you find the tight spot which is there, and you're adjusting it until you've got ½ an inch, which is what we've got now. And when you come to tighten up your axle nuts, once you've done your chain tension, using your 15mm spanner, the trick is tighten it up literally until it catches on one side and then do the same on the other. If you tighten it all the way on one side first, you might find that you increase the chain tension more than you want it to be. So do it a little bit at a time on each side, making sure your wheel is still central here, and then rechecking your chain tension, so you've got 1/2 inch. If you were to tighten that up fully before you do the other side, you'll find your chain tension will go too tight. So just double check again, go around and find your tight spot. Once you've found it, you want 1/2 inch, and then you can finish off tightening your axle nuts completely. And the best policy is when you're tightening up your axle nuts with a spanner, use 3 fingers, and that way you can eliminate the risk of over tightening. If you have got access to a torque wrench, you're looking at about 35 Newton meters on each side, but if you use 3 fingers and tighten it up fully, that should be more than adequate. And then on the brake side, you now want to tighten up fully the nut for your roller brake. Okay, now you've tightened up the nut and bolt here, which secures your brake valve. Make sure that's nice and tight. We can now reconnect your brake cable. And if you recall, you've got 2 flats on the back here, and you need to basically try and roll it into the hole here on the roller brake, which is where your red dot is at the top. So we're going to roll that in. And the easiest way is if you push the brake on with your thumb as hard as you can, and then roll this round, and just clicks into position, and then let go with your thumb, ensuring there's a little groove behind here. Ensure your brake cable is in the groove. Now what we need to do is your adjusting barrel here, that big circle there, slots in to a little slot underneath here on the brake arm. And the easiest way again, put a thumb on the brake, give it a push and a pull, and you can hook that in. That's all nice and secure, and you now need to adjust your brake tension here on the cable. And that's quite personal, depending how strong you want your brake lever on the handlebar. So to adjust it, turn the main adjuster anti-clockwise a couple of turns, and then bring your lock nut back. Using your 10mm spanner, just lock that off. It doesn't need much pressure, and then activate your brake from the handlebars just to make sure that it's correct for you. And you can adjust it again here if you want to slacken it off and make it tighter, and you've also got the adjuster on the handlebar. Okay, the next task is to reconnect your gear cable, and if you recall from before, you've got your cassette arm here, and you've got a little circular hole the end of your brake cable slots into, and round the back of it there's actually a slot that allows the gear inner cable to slot in. So you put that behind, slot it in, give the cable a pull just to make sure that's all the way in, and then we can go to the back and reconnect your inner cable. Okay, the last job now is to reconnect your gear cable again, and if you recall, there's a little hole here that you can put your 2mm Allen key in, and I'll just show you first. When you push this down, you'll see the groove that the cable goes into, and eventually you'll see the little hole there that's going to slot into, and there's a yellow dot just beside it. So the first thing to do is make sure the cable follows the right channel. Push it down with the Allen key, and then that slots in. And make sure that the black nut is facing outwards, not inwards. And then let off your Allen key, and your gear cable is connected. And all that we're left to do is to do the final adjustment to your gears, which you can see in our other video. So that's your rear wheel refitted.